Hi, this is Ashley Andrews, and here is my Give Me Five on cognitive behavior therapy. There are three prominent approaches to CBT, and those are Albert Ellis's rational emotive behavior therapy, Aaron Beck's cognitive therapy, and Donald Meichenbaum's cognitive behavior modification. And all of these focus on undermining the faulty assumptions that clients have and teaching the clients to create new coping skills. Some of the similarities that these three approaches all have is they look at how our cognitions and behaviors affect our personality development. They focus more on our present behaviors and how those behaviors affect our feelings, our thoughts, and actions. So they more so look at what's going on today with today's situation and behaviors, and let's move forward rather than focusing on the past and what has happened. After identifying the problematic behavior, the client can choose to replace that behavior with other actions that would prove to be more effective. They all stress a working alliance between the therapist and the client. They all just really spoke highly of a warm, empathic relationship, and making sure that you can maintain that with your client. They also encourage self help, allow for client feedback, and they provide structure to assist with evaluations. And a word that comes to mind for me with these approaches is partnership. To me, I gathered that the clients are really active participants throughout, all of the stages of therapy. They might create some goals that are very specific. They would come back, at every session and evaluate those goals. They may go home and, leave that session with homework assignments so that they can kind of put their new behavior into action, out in public or when they're at home. And then those, all of that is evaluated when they return to their next therapy session. So to me, the client plays a large role in that process. And I actually spoke with a mental health counselor who is a licensed clinical social worker, and they had to share that CBT is really helpful with kids, even just on a basic level. If they might have a child that says, "My mom doesn't love me," when the therapist asks that child to prove to me how your mom doesn't love you, they're kind of stumped, and it forces them to really think about the statement that they just made. So I'm going to focus a bit on cognitive therapy, and that was developed by Aaron Beck. And his daughter, Judith Beck, has also had a pretty large influence in cognitive therapy. And CT is aimed at guiding clients to self discoveries that would lead to a change in their behavior. Some of the specifics of cognitive therapy is that it resulted from Beck's research on depression, and now it's helpful for the treatment of anxiety, depression, post traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar, and many other personality disorders. It recognizes and changes the unrealistic negative thoughts and maladaptive beliefs, and it helps clients to evaluate their beliefs to create a new perspective that would eventually lead to a new behavior. It is drawn from numerous models of psychotherapy, and it helps to develop a detailed case conceptualization to understand how the clients view their world. And that licensed clinical social worker, that counselor, stated that cognitive therapy is really helpful in the immediate reduction of symptoms that are due to the distorted thoughts that the client might have. And just a quote that comes to mind, or comes to my mind, is to get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. So it's more so putting those thoughts or bringing those thoughts on the table to make the client realize, if you want to see a change, we've got to start thinking differently. And again, the licensed clinical social worker shared with me that she may have a depressed client when they say nothing is working. When she asks them to look at what evidence they have that they makes them think nothing is working. Um, they look at their evidence and they have little evidence can be found, and they actually realize it's just their thoughts that are making them feel bad. When all actuality, there are many things working. It's just the way we think about that situation. So clients, essentially, they learn to recognize their unhelpful thoughts and they figure out ways to shift their thinking that would find the helpful thoughts. And Beck believed that our core beliefs are responsible for automatic thoughts, which result in a set of behaviors, feelings, and physiological responses. So the therapist's role is to help the clients to examine their core beliefs by weighing the evidence, and the client would usually make a change in their behavior or mood. And one thing a pre service counselor must know about cognitive therapists are they focus on creating an empathic relationship with the client while using techniques that will effectively enable the clients to change their thoughts, behaviors, and emotions.